Okay, coworker wants me to look at his car. It's making noise. Suspension-wise, not riding too good. It's an 03 Jetta. Let's see. That's not it. Are you kidding me? He didn't say it was lowered. Oh. Huh, good thing I'm not too tall. Oh, Lord. All right, here we go. A lot of clunking noises going on. Steering is really noisy. You can feel it through the steering wheel. All right. Oh, that wasn't too good. Oh my God. I think I don't need to go see my chiropractor. I just got to adjust it. So we're gonna bring this in the shop and check this out. Definitely has issues. Oh my God, that is spinal injury, I think. Ooh, compressed. So I know some of you think this lowered situation on a car or truck actually looks cool, and that's fine if that's what you like. But I really want to stress that there's a good way, correct way, and a completely wrong way, and that is what we've discovered here. It is not safe the way they did this. Luckily, we carry all the parts that you need to bring this back to factory specs at 1aauto.com. Strut Assemblies with the springs already in them, and the rear springs and shock assembly. So now let's raise up the vehicle and see exactly what's going on. So back here in the rear of the vehicle, it's a really simple process to fix this because all they did was take the spring out, physically take it out, which I'll do for you, and they just cut it right here. They just took like 1.5 coils off, but they didn't take the shock out and put an altered shock in. This is very dangerous. As you can see, it's missing almost 3 inches of where it actually meets the car. So that rubber bump stop that's supposed to be seated in that cone, it's way out. So imagine now if I lower this car down, that has to get seated. So if it's not, it could be like this one, which is completely not seated. And why is that? Because when they cut the spring on this, they just cut it unevenly. If that doesn't seat correctly and you're going down the road, this is never coming down all the way. So this spring, if you hit a bump and the suspension can drop enough, that could come out and cause serious problems for everybody. So as we actually walk down the vehicle and look, we see actual structural damage right here. Now, these kind of cars, anything that's front-wheel drive, most modern cars, they do not have a frame that goes all the way back and forth. That's usually for SUVs or trucks. So cars have what we call body rails, and these structures come down. They have thickness to them to give a flex to the body. This isn't severe. I've seen a lot worse, but it happened on both sides, and it's definitely from the lowered altered suspension. They just crushed it. They went over everything they could. So now we're in the front, and I just want to go over real quick the other effects it has on everything else in the car. Now, right now we're raised, and the suspension has dropped down. But when this is lowered, and that suspension is supposed to go level like this so you can go down the road, now we're going past that point like this because we've altered the suspension and made it shorter. When that happens, this axle, instead of being straight, it's actually going to get pushed up. Same with this link. Now this bar is going to come down, and it's going to put strain on it the opposite way, where it should have no strain on it and should take absorbent of when you have a swaying involved in suspension. Control arm bushings and the ball joint. A lot of people overlook this. The ball joint is supposed to sit straight up. Now it's putting all the steel pressure going like this. So now I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and I'm going to show you a real big surprise that we found up there in that strut. So here I am on the passenger side, and what I found was what I expected to find. Like, I have no play this way or this way, but look at the strut. They took the strut apart and cut the spring. I mean, you can't say it doesn't work because it worked, right? Just not really safe, and it's not the proper way. Now we're on the driver's side. Now, same problem here, right? Look at that. So I do my typical front end check. I'm gonna go left or right, check that. But then I went like this. they broke the strut because it couldn't take the stress. The stress that was put on just the strut itself is astronomical. The spring, they just cut it just like they did the rears and reassembled the strut assembly and then lowered the car. All that strain, it broke the inside. So inside that cartridge, there'll be some nice plastic bushings, thick ones that go around, and then there's rubber seals, and it keeps that strut centered inside that cartridge. This thing is busted. One of the biggest misconceptions of shocks is that they give the height to a car. Well, they don't give the height to the car. They're just there to absorb the bounce. That's it. You don't put a new shock in to raise your car up. The springs are actually the main thing that holds the suspension up, stays up. The shock is to get the cushion of it. So here I have all the new parts that I'm going to put in. I'm kind of excited, so as you can tell. But we have our rear coil springs. This is the spring that someone took. If you really look at it and measure it, I can't wait to take that one out. But I'm thinking it's probably 1.5 coils. It's just crazy to me. But we have new rear shocks, factory set, so the right length, and a strut assembly. Wow, this ride is going to be like magic when we're done. I'm putting new control arms in because of the stress that those bushings right here, these control arm bushings, this is what I was talking about. Like when it's hanging down, that's a normal look, right, on a lift. But when you're level, that's the way it should be. This car is riding like this. So now all that strain, when it goes down the road, those bushings are being twisted the opposite way. And then we have the lovely ball joint. And this is what I was referring to earlier. So this will mount in on the end of the control arm, goes right into that knuckle. See the angle the manufacturer puts that? But they have theirs, because the suspension is so lowered, it's straining on the inside of this ball joint. And then as simple as the link, you would think an easy, simple piece like this, but that steel piece that goes through that rubber bushing, it's meant to ride like that, but this thing is way down. It's angled so down at an angle that that bushing, it's not even worth it. Just take it out. It's not working. They're not doing the job. Each one of these parts have a job to do. And when you alter them, they're not doing their job. All right, so now time has come. I'm going to put all these parts in so I can show you what it actually is supposed to look like and how the ride is going to be superb. So I wanted to show a comparison to an old blown shock to a new one. The amount of, well, look at that. Let me see if I can do it with one arm. Now watch the return. This shock right here is definitely blown. Like it's got nothing to it. Let's see. Whoa, what a difference. That's awesome. And the steering's not bad. Like the struts didn't throw the camber or caster off too bad. Steering wheel's still really straight. All right, let's go back the opposite way. What a difference. Wow. Like this is great. No noises. 20 miles an hour. I didn't even move. Love it. Well, there you have it. What an amazing ride. So much better than the chopped down ride that we had. All I got to do is get factory tire size, line this thing up, and we're good to go. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell. It turns on all your notifications, and you won't miss any future videos.
It really does ride a lot better.
It really does. Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, this is like, you wouldn't even know it's the same car.